All right, so I'm talking about the Xfinity Series race for Richmond in this one here. Just a reminder that we have both the Truck and Xfinity Series race on Saturday, and there are two different tracks. So we got Xfinity at Richmond, Truck Series at Texas, and then Cup Series obviously at Richmond on Sunday. I do wish the contest were a bit bigger, but honestly, the Xfinity Series contest I have nothing to complain about, and that'll probably be the one I'm more interested in this weekend, just due to the size of it, being 7,000 people. $10 entry. I like that it's early in the day. The smaller Truck Series contest later in the day. I'm much more interested in the Xfinity Series race as a whole compared to the other two events this weekend, but that is just me. When we look specifically at the Xfinity Series season and how these prices have really changed, when you think about it, we had Coda in Atlanta these last 2 weekends. We haven't been at a real racetrack since Phoenix, 3 weeks ago. And I think there is certainly a lot that we can take away from how people ran at Phoenix. We can also look at how DraftKings drastically changed the price on some people. Like I believe that the Chandler Smith 10-3 is just a bit insane. He was the 11th best racer at Phoenix. I understand that he's had a phenomenal start to the season. Certainly at intermediate tracks, I certainly want to play him. But he ends up finishing fifth. He finishes a lot better than where he should have finished at Richmond. Even Kyle Busch starting from the back, going through the field, he was only the fourth best driver at the end of the day. Sure, Kyle Busch finishes ninth, but colleague, just wasn't they're just not the dominant cars on the short tracks. We can see it here. Just looking at Phoenix, we can see it. Last year it was clearly Joe Gibbs Racing, and then secondly it'll be Junior Motorsports. So that was just interesting that they made him 10-3. I'm not exactly sure what is causing that big of a price hike. So I was pretty shocked by that price, and it really puts Chandler Smith in a range that I don't think we're gonna be able to really get to him. Unless he just goes and knocks our socks off in practice or something and shows us that, hey, we need to get to him. Chandler Smith is just not a driver I'm willing to look at. And what I'm willing to talk about more in this one is more of the lineup construction that I want to focus on versus the plays. Clearly, I'll talk about the drivers that I like. Clearly, I think there's a ton that we can take away from Phoenix, from Nemechek to Sammy Smith. Both Joe Gibbs drivers, both Joe Gibbs machines just being incredibly fast at Phoenix and being the dominant cars, to Austin Hill just being there. Look, Austin Hill, this is how he's ran. He's been the third best car at Fontana, second best car at Las Vegas, third best car at Phoenix, and he's $9,800. Why does Chandler Smith get that big of a bump? If anything, Austin Hill should be the one, around 10-3, 10-4, 10-5. It's interesting that Austin Hill is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh most expensive driver, when I think he should probably be the third or fourth. I understand that they're leaning to track history and how Junior Motorsports have ran, but it's just interesting that we don't have 11K drivers, and we don't have an 11K driver, and then we have Allgaier, Berry, and Smith, as the higher 10K guys, with Mayer and Sammy Smith just being at the very bottom. It's just interesting. It's very rare that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 10K guys on a slate. And due to that, pricing is pretty soft through the rest of the field. Very quick guys that I see just absolute kind of mispricings on. I understand that I understand that Ryan Ellis has ran terrible, but the Alpha Prime machine. Actually, let me make sure. Let me cross reference the entry list really quick just to make sure. Yeah, I just had to go and make sure that, Ryan Ellis is in the Alpha Prime 43 machine, which is honestly, it's a really, really gross mispricing on both him and Honeyman at $5,200. Like, these guys are just drastically mispriced. That's just how it is. I'm honestly quite shocked here. We don't have Timmy Hill on the player pool. Now, clearly, I'm recording this on Wednesday. Entry list has Timmy Hill on there. It might be Mason, just depends on whatever MBM wants to end up doing with the 66 car. But clearly, we will know for sure on Saturday and everything, and I'll end up doing a show on Saturday and stuff. I'll probably just end up doing one show after I get projections done for each race, it's going to be a really, really busy Saturday. That's just how it's going to be. Brett Moffitt again, just living in the 7K range, unbelievably mispriced. I just don't get it. At $7,800, it makes. I just can't believe it, man. I'm so lost on Moffitt. 16th best car at Phoenix. And let me see if I can figure out where this guy finished real fast. Finished 13th. I mean, yeah, sure. You might be like, yeah, that's like right where he should be, so on and so forth. But anyway, back to the main point of what I want to talk about in this video is lineup construction, and the reason why I started talking about the mispricings of Ellis, of Honeyman, and you can even argue, Josh Williams is mispriced, Greg Olden is mispriced, Weatherman is mispriced depending on where he starts. Same thing can be said with Jeremy Clements, although he's been taking a bit of a step back this year. Same thing with Kaz Grala, but whatever people we want to talk about at the bottom, that'll mainly be dictated by qualifying position. When we're looking at building lines for this race, as I've stated a lot this year, and we haven't done it in the last 3 weeks, but as I've stated, I've wanted to do a lot more just playing and forcing in guys that are going to run top 15, regardless if they hit 5X or not. And doing that, yes, has landed us on Austin Hill at Las Vegas. It landed us on Sammy Smith at Phoenix when I probably wouldn't have played them before. I'm going to find it hard to believe that Nemechek, Sammy Smith aren't the front runners in practice and aren't the front runners in the race. If it's not them, I assume it's going to be Junior Motorsports. I'm fine with whatever case we end up making and whatever way we end up going. I just think it's going to be Junior Motorsports. It's going to be really hard to not want to play Nemechek or Sammy Smith in this race. But the reason I bring that up is Sammy Smith is 10K even. Nemechek is 10.9. Leaves you $7,200. The fact that we have, if you take any 5K guy, it doesn't matter who it is. I'll use Poole for this example because he's $5,100. Quite a lot of people below him, a lot of people above him. It leaves you $8,000 to do whatever you want, man. The fact that we could very easily get 5 guys in our line that are going to be in the top 16, 17, 18. Clearly we have the one. We're going to have our one value that we're just stuck with in the 5K range due to line of construction. And we're probably going to have either a 6K guy or a 7K guy that we like based on place differential. If we don't, even better. That makes it a lot easier. But I just can't believe it. We have Kligerman at 8.4, Herbst at 8.9, Hemrick at 8.7. We have Cole Custer at 9.4. I mean, it's almost criminal. You can even go, and this is just using Sammy Smith and Nemechek together. Ideally, one of those two will be the primary lap leader and stuff, and they won't be swapping positions a ton. That's just for this example if you need to play both of them. But yeah, it's so easy to get to a lot of the 8K range and 9K range this weekend. And if you're not playing for 2 10K guys, you should absolutely just play as much of the 9 and 8K range as possible. If you go Nemechek, this is what I really want to end up doing, is Nemechek, Austin Hill, regardless if you want to go with after this Custer, Jones, Herbst, Hemrick. But I'll use Austin Hill, Nemechek, Cole Custer for an example. $6,600 left over for your final guys. I'm telling you, you take that last value play and you can do whatever you want. So I'm going to this race, let me see, with a lot of excitement. And I'd look, this is going to be the race where I go back to playing 20 lines. And it sucks that it's such a short window. I don't know if I can get that many lines made to where I'll be happy with them in time. I'm doing 10 for sure. I'd love to do 20. Time constraints might not allow me to do my 20 for Xfinity. I'll do 10 for sure. But this is an instance to where I'm going to focus primarily way more on the line of construction than trying to not necessarily nail, but clearly I'm going to prioritize, certain lap leaders and stuff. But I absolutely just want to get 8 and 9K guys in my line, 7K guys if possible. Guys that are going to run, can I envision this driver running top 16 the entire race? Yes, then I want to play them. Because look, as I've stated before, typically it's short tracks and gigantic tracks, but you can't fake speed here at Richmond. If you're slow, if you're a car that's going to be 29th fastest, you're going to be lapped. There's a good chance you're going to go 2 laps down. There's a real chance in this race that if it goes green, we'll probably have 15 cars in the lead lap. Okay, so if you can stay in the lead lap and then stay in the lead lap once we have half the field to lap down, well, then you're not going to kill a line. You're not going to, that driver isn't going to kill your lineup and stuff. And so entering this weekend, very similar to Phoenix, when I was just primarily trying to throw darts at the wall, and not necessarily like darts, like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but like, look, land on Sammy Smith. In this race here, who do I want to land on? I think Creed at 9.6 makes a lot of sense. As I said, Cole Custer at 9.4 makes a lot of sense. Kligerman, Parker Retzlaff. Got to remember, look, Parker is an incredible short track racer. He's $8,200. Joe Graff Jr. in a Joe Gibbs racing machine. This is an instance to where, look, he's been a bit of a stinker so far. I understand that. When we look at how fast he was the 31st best car at Phoenix, but that was just because he finished 31st at Phoenix. So when we look at he was the 32nd best car at Phoenix. That was just a horrendous weekend for him. But 18th best at Las Vegas, 14th best at Fontana. Like, Joe Graff Jr. is hitting everything that I see in somebody who I want to just see run top 15 all day. And there's a real argument to be made that if he starts right around 19th and can finish 15th, he's not going to hit value, but he won't kill you with like that 32 points. But if he can get us right at 40, and even just right under 40, like over the over 30 points that Joe Graff Jr. gets you might be enough, depending on where people qualify, depending on what happens. I personally like Moffitt more, $200 cheaper at $7,800, but I don't really want to mess with a lot of the value range. LeBay is probably going to qualify where he should finish. I find it very difficult to see like LeBay qualifying 28th. He's probably going to qualify like 22nd and finish 20th. Not a lot of upside there. Same thing with Burton. Weatherman should qualify well. That's what I was saying at the start of this. Like, a lot of the value will be dictated by starting position. That's just what it comes down to. That's what the value comes down to. That's what the place differential comes down to. We need qualifying to determine that. But my absolute approach is getting as many 8 and 9K guys in my lineup as physically possible. And if that results in me punting down to Smithley, to Mason, if Mason's in the 66, what is Smithley in? Is he still in the, let me look. Smithley is in, he is not, he's got to be like the 07 or something. No, he's in the 4. For JD Motorsports, why do I think he was not in the, I don't know why I thought Smithley was in. Wow, that's an egregious misprice as well. You're telling me I get a JD Motorsports car at $4,600? What? Brother, what? I get Ryan Ellis and Smithley under 5K? Well, I can tell you right now, first off, they need to get into the show. Secondly, I'll probably use one of those guys for sure, if not both of them. Check out this stud of a line, man. This is insane. If you go, man, the slate's so fucked. We were having such a good time until I realized Smithley was in a JD Motorsports car. For example, Austin Hill, Nemechek, Sammy Smith, Garrett Smithley, Ryan Ellis leaves you $9,900 left over for whoever you want. I really don't see the purpose of playing 7K, like mid to low 7K guys. I don't see a real purpose in playing 6K. I don't see a real purpose in playing a lot of the expensive 5K drivers unless we have place differential that we absolutely need to play. But in my opinion, we are paying down for one, if not two people, or one for sure, two if there's no clear place differential play, and then it's jamming in the 8, 9, 10K guys. Like, yeah, get 3 to 4, 9 to 8 to 10K guys in the line, and that's what I want to do. That's how I want to approach it. And yeah, that's really my preview for Richmond. This race should go green. Junior Motorsports, or not Junior Motorsports, when we look at last year's race, Joe Gibbs was just far and above the best class of the field. If you remember, this is the one where Ty Gibbs and Nemechek basically just took turns leading the entire race. Ty Gibbs moves Nemechek at the end of the race, but Nemechek leads 114 laps, or leads 135 laps. Ty Gibbs leads 114. Junior Motorsports, who we have seen the year before and the year prior, they've kind of lost the speed and the edge that they had at the short tracks, and so I think Sam Mayer and Justin Allgaier should be the front runners for Junior Motorsports to compete with Joe Gibbs Racing this weekend. But it should be Nemechek and Sam Mayer and that's the reasoning why how fast those stupid cars should be. You have to have Joe Graff Jr. in your pool. You have to have Joe Graff Jr. Just as an interest, because he's going to have a flying fast car. It's just whatever Joe Graff Jr. can do. And, he hasn't been involved in a wreck. Certainly not an incident in this car. But he's stayed out of trouble in the short track races, oddly enough. If you look back at last year's race, started 29th, finished 27th, didn't tear stuff up, didn't get stupid. If Joe Graff Jr. could truly qualify in the top 16, there's a chance that he can have just enough ability to not tear the car up, that car will, the speed that car will have will carry him to like a 10th place finish. And so it's a really, really interesting slate in terms of that. But I think the player pool is pretty small this weekend, maybe around 16 to 18 guys, just because I plan on not really focusing too much on the, as I said, 7 and 6K ranges. I don't think you need to. And that's really all it is. I like the pricing. I like the builds. I like Smithley. I like Ryan Ellis. Gonna be a fun slate to build lineups for. Can't wait for Saturday. So thank you guys for listening. Hopefully this helps you out or gives you some sort of idea or opinion on how to approach stuff. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a question or feel free to shoot me a message on Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Join the Patreon if you want to support me. And I will see you guys later.